When you think of financial reports, you probably picture spreadsheets, dry numbers, maybe something to put you to sleep. But what if I told you they can tell a story? A story of struggle, of challenge, and maybe, just maybe, a pretty dramatic comeback. Today, we're going to dig into one of those stories, a story told entirely through data.
So, can it? Let's find out. We're going to look at one company's journey not through shiny press releases, but through the cold, hard numbers they've reported over the years. We're going to see if we can find a plot, a real conflict, and even a climax, all hidden in the balance sheets.
And our main character in this financial drama? It's a company called ABM International Limited. Now, what do? They're in the world of wholesale trading, mainly dealing with plastics. And like any protagonist in a good story, well, they've had to face some pretty serious obstacles.
Our story begins, as a lot of dramatic stories do, with a big problem. For ABM International, this wasn't some corporate villain. No, the problem was a steady, persistent flow of red ink all over their financial statements. This was the challenge they had to overcome.
So let's set the stage here. We're looking at a rough couple of years, from 2018 all the way to 2020. And the theme during this time? It's consistent, all right? Every single year brought another loss, and things weren't just staying bad, they were actually getting worse. Let's start with a hard number to wrap our heads around. For the 9 months ending in December 2018, the company posted a loss of almost 8.9 million rupees. Now, that's not just a number on a page. It's a flashing red light, a clear signal that there's trouble. Okay, and here's where it starts to get personal, especially if you're a shareholder. This number is the earnings per share, or EPS. The easiest way to think about it is like this. It's the slice of profit, or in this case loss, that belongs to every single share. So it's one thing for the company to lose millions, but it's another to see exactly what that means for your stake. Here, every single share lost 0.80 rupees. For an investor, that's the number that really stings.
So as we roll forward from 2018 and head towards 2020, you'd hope things would get better, right? Well, they didn't. This financial challenge, it wasn't just a blip on the radar. It was becoming a full-blown crisis for the company. The tension in our story is definitely building.
And this brings us to the peak of the struggle. For the full year ending in March of 2020, the losses absolutely ballooned to a staggering 47.8 million rupees. This was the low point, the toughest moment in our story, the moment of greatest adversity. And just look at what that did to the earnings per share. It completely cratered, dropping to negative 4.14 rupees. This just drives home how severe the situation had become. The loss wasn't just some big abstract number anymore. It was being felt deeply on a per-share basis. That's a huge sign of a company in serious distress. So the million-dollar question is why? Why was all this happening? I mean, a good story needs more than just what happened. We need to understand the conflict. So let's dive back into the data and see if we can figure out the cause of all these losses.
All right, to get to the bottom of this, we really only need to understand two very simple ideas. First, total income. That's all the money coming in, from sales, you name it. And second, total expenses. That's all the money going out to keep the lights on, buying materials, paying salaries, all that good stuff.
This chart right here, it tells the entire story in one simple picture. Back in that really difficult year, 2020, ABM International's total expenses were over 1,011 million rupees. But their total income, it was just under 986 million. It's simple math, really. When the expense bar is taller than the income bar, you've got a loss. It's that straightforward and that challenging.
But in every good story, just when things look their absolute darkest, the plot can take a wild, unexpected turn. And after years of seeing nothing but red, the narrative for ABM International was about to change dramatically. Let's see how this comeback story unfolds. So, we've seen this clear pattern of financial struggle, a story written, quite literally, in red ink. But financial stories, they can have a plot twist. And in 2024, it looks like a brand new chapter for ABM International is about to begin. And here it is. This is the turning point. Just look at this comparison. On the left, you've got that crushing 47.8 million rupee loss from 2020, but on the right, for just the first half of 2024, a profit of 24.4 million rupees. And the earnings per share? It swung from a loss of over 4 rupees to a profit of 2.16. This is a complete 180-degree reversal of fortune. Now, the data doesn't tell us how they pulled this off, but it screams that something fundamental has shifted in their financial health.
So what do we make of all this? This is a pretty dramatic shift. Let's kind of zoom out for a second and look at the big picture, piecing together this whole story arc, from struggle to a potential recovery. Okay, so let's just quickly recap the whole story we've just uncovered. First, the company went through a long, pretty painful period of losing money. Second, we figured out why. They were simply spending more than they were making. Third, the newest data from 2024 shows a massive positive turnaround. And finally, this all points to a major shift, from being deep in the red to being well in the black.
And that leaves us with the final question, right? The one every good story leaves you thinking about. After seeing this incredible swing from a huge loss to a solid profit, we have to ask, is this for real? Is this the beginning of a sustainable recovery, built on a stronger business? Or is this just a temporary rebound, a flash in the pan? The data told us what happened, but figuring out the why, well, that's the story that's yet to be written.